CARICOM seeks private sector involvement in its efforts to advance free movement of labor. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Thursday, July 4th, 2019. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. CARICOM leaders met with representatives of the regional private sector and labor movement on Thursday on the first full day of deliberations at their 40th Heads of Government Summit. And the parties say discussions on efforts to push forward the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, the CSME, were positive. Gordon Charles, the Chief Executive Officer of the St. Lucia-based J.Q. Charles Group of Companies, says the idea is to get all the private sector bodies in the region involved in new initiatives, particularly as they relate to the free movement of labor across the region. From Castries, here's CMC's Peter Richards.
The meeting is as a result of an initiative that is being pushed by the Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley to get more of the region's stakeholders involved in the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, the CSME. The CSME allows for the free movement of goods, skills, services and labor across the region, and there has been concern about the implementation deficit regarding the various measures. Gordon Charles, the Chief Executive Officer of the St. Lucia-based J.Q. Charles Group of Companies, was among the private sector delegation that met with the regional leaders.
Our role today was to put forth to the CARICOM conference a structure upon which the private sector will engage with the CARICOM heads. This is all part of the initiative of CSME, which is being headed by Prime Minister Mottley out of Barbados, and she had challenged the private sector across the region to get together and to form some sort of body that will allow us to engage and to help them advance CSME.
CARICOM Secretary General Erwin Larocque described the deliberations as positive.
I think it went very well. Private sector and labor was there. The CCR was represented. And there was a discussion of them organizing a regional private sector organization, which will be probably constituted in the coming months, very shortly. And once that is constituted, the conference will be willing to consider making them an associated institution of the community, to allow for greater collaboration and participation in the CSME. So we had a very good discussion.
The president of the Barbados-based Caribbean Development Bank, Dr. Warren Smith, says the CDB regards the private sector as having a major role to play in moving forward the ambitions of the CSME.
I think that the presentation by the private sector group was a good development. We're very pleased about it because we certainly share the view that the development and the growth of this region is going to depend in the final analysis on the ability of the private sector to grow and to perform in not only competitively in the region but also internationally.
The summit ends on Friday, with the leaders expected to announce progress on some of the agenda items.
All CARICOM leaders are expected to adopt a position regarding the candidacy of Present Secretary General of the Organization of American States, Luis Almagro, who is seeking a second consecutive term in office. But St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves is already making it clear Almagro will not get his support. Gonsalves says the incumbent has been divisive, particularly as it relates to the situation in Venezuela. The OAS Secretary General was present at the ceremonial opening of the CARICOM Summit on Wednesday evening, but one Caribbean Prime Minister made it clear he would not be entertained given that his presence was not in an official capacity. And Prime Minister Gonsalves said for certain Kingstown would not be backing his candidacy for a second term.
I believe out of this conference, this meeting, you probably have a common position against the candidacy of Almagro. He's too divisive, and he's not good for the unity in the OAS and for Latin American Caribbean unity, which is vital. This thing is more important than one individual. I'm not making a comment against Almagro as an individual, as a personality. I'm not questioning his integrity. I'm not doing any of those things because clearly he's an individual of merit and worth as an individual. But his policies and the way in which he has used the OAS explicitly as a partisan battering ram against a member state. Well, Venezuela is no longer a member state, though they have incorporated Guaido as the representative of his administration. I don't know, these fictions, they exist. So I am not, and I think he will know that I wouldn't support him.
CARICOM Chairman, St. Lucia's Prime Minister Alan Chastanet says the Caribbean should establish a single civil aviation regulatory body. He expressed that view in an interview with CMC News on the sidelines of the CARICOM Summit, as he said that the Eastern Caribbean Civil Aviation Authority, ECA, which regulates civil aviation activities in OECS member states, is not good for the development of the sector in the Caribbean.
I think that we need to liberalize our aviation in this region. I think that ECA has been a huge impediment to the free involvement of private sector. I mean, and there's a number, right? Bahamas has a population of 370,000 people, and they have 25 Bahamian airlines. They have 8 cargo charter companies, and they have 5 cargo companies. Here in Eastern Caribbean, population of 750, if you include Barbados, 1 million people, we have 1 carrier. We have like 2 charter companies and 2 helicopter companies. So there's a structural problem that's been an impediment to the private sector getting involved. We as governments don't have enough money to invest in what we need. We obviously have shown over the years of LIAT and BWIA, governments aren't very good managers of state-run airlines. And we've got to let the market make that dictation.
Chastanet says the solution is to have a single aviation authority.
It's amazing to me the cost of airfares to fly, and then no private sector companies have stepped up to the plate. So it just tells you the structural problems that we have in this region. So I would like us to start by continuing to integrate our region from aviation. I would have liked that we can create one civil aviation authority, because a civil aviation authority is only a regulator. It's not supposed to be involved in commercial. So let's think of it. You have OECS Civil Aviation Authority, Barbados, Trinidad, Jamaica, Suriname, Guyana, all these civil aviation authorities. If you go to Central America, which has a larger population than we have, they have one regulatory agency. Right? So these are some of the structural impediments that we have the authority and the ability to solve. And until we take those positions, I don't think that we're going to know the true state of the industry.
Over in Guyana, if all goes well, a new head of the country's electoral body should be in place in a few days. That was the hope expressed after a 1-hour meeting between President David Granger and opposition leader Barrett Jagdeo on Thursday to determine the way forward in selecting a new chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM. Granger reported that a team from his office and one from the office of the opposition leader will hammer out a list of 6 nominees for him to choose from. In a ruling last month, the Caribbean Court of Justice said that the process leading up to the appointment of retired Justice James Patterson as a GECOM chairman was flawed and therefore unconstitutional. Patterson resigned last Tuesday. Speaking to the media after President Granger met with Jagdeo, Director General in the Ministry of the Presidency, Joseph Harmon, said the aim is to get a new GECOM boss in position as soon as possible.
The President indicated that he would like this process to be completed within days. So what that means is that the 2 sides will have to be engaged in what the CCJ call hammering out the names of persons to arrive at a list of 6, which the leader of the opposition will present to His Excellency, and from which he will choose one person to be named the chairman of the Elections Commission. We've agreed that the leader of the opposition will submit in very short manner a list of names of persons that will be for the consideration of the president. This exchange of names, or this submission of names, will also include any suggestions which the president has for inclusion on that list. And once the two sides sit and agree on the list of 6, then that is the process that we move forward. That list of 6 will then go to the president for him to choose.
Speaking to the media after the meeting, Jagdeo said it was a relatively productive engagement, and he's also hoping the matter can be resolved within days. Still to come, Jamaicans told not to expect a drop in crime anytime soon. Stay with us.
Welcome to this year's 50th Caribbean Broadcast Union Assembly on the island of San Andres. San Andres is a small archipelago located in between Jamaica and Panama in the Western Caribbean Sea. A lush, exotic island rich in culture, history, gastronomy, and breathtaking scenic views. Known for its beaches and 7-colored crystalline waters, the island of San Andres will be proudly hosting this year's event. CBU members will enjoy top-of-the-line accommodations for an unforgettable experience in San Andres, connecting Caribbean nations through this year's 50th edition of the CBU Assembly.
Jamaica's National Security Minister Horace Chang says the country is not expected to see a reduction in crime until next year. His comment came on the heels of the latest statistics, which show that the island's murder rate is up to June had surpassed last year's figures for the same period. We get more in this TVJ News report.
2019 has been the bloodiest month of the year, with more than 127 murders. Broken down by divisions, murders were up in 11 of the 19 police divisions, with the Kingston Central Police Division showing the biggest increase, a 100% jump compared to a year ago. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang is expressing confidence that there will be a significant turnaround of the situation by next year. In an interview with TVJ News this afternoon, Dr. Chang said the allocation of resources to the security forces will help to curb crime.
I don't think you'll see the kind of sustainable fall until sometime in the course of next year. I'm confident you'll not see it until then. I'm confident there will be significant reduction. And that's why we thought we have planned to use enhanced security measures to cut the bloodletting essentially, because the investment in the policing sector has a lead time for real effect. So I think I can show the country what we're doing will work. The critical element, I said, is really investing in our security forces to bring it to where it should be.
There has been criticism, especially from the opposition, that the government's crime-fighting strategies aren't working, with a state of emergency seemingly being the only major tool. Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang hit back, saying those claims are contradictory, as the opposition recently applauded the government's investment in national security.
An opposition MP in Trinidad and Tobago has been barred from speaking in the lower house of Parliament. Orapooch East MP Dr. Rudal Munilao was muzzled on Wednesday for failing to provide a written apology for statements he made to Government MP Fitzgerald Hines that were deemed threatening. The details from TV6's Alicia Boucher.
It was based on a motion moved by Leader of the House, Camille Robinson Regis, who posed the question to House Speaker Bridget Anisette George on whether Dr. Moonilal submitted an apology in accordance with a decision taken at a previous sitting. It stemmed from a remark the Orapooch East MP made to Hines, stating, "Snake have led for you." Richard Snake Marcel was the man charged for kicking water on Hines in Beetham Gardens during a flooding incident. Anisette George indicated that while she was still awaiting an apology, she was in receipt of a correspondence sent by Dr. Moonilal.
I do report that at around 11:33 today, I received a letter under the hand of the member which states in part, and I quote, "Today, I cannot accept the invitation to again apologize in the manner as recommended by the illegal committee."
I, therefore, in accordance with Standing Order 38L, move that this member be not recognized by this House until he apologizes.
Although Dr. Moonilal issued a verbal apology during a prior sitting, a formal apology was requested in the report of the Privileges Committee set up to investigate the matter. Dr. Moonilal attempted to give an explanation for his decision, as the Speaker inquired whether members were in favor of the motion.
Speaker, am I allowed to read my explanation?
Honorable members, is this the wish of the House? Honorable members, on a division, 18 members voted for, 11 members voted against. There were no abstentions, so the motion has been carried.
Hines, who initially sat on the Privileges Committee into the matter, recused himself. But Dr. Moonilal has raised questions about how the committee was constituted, which is a case before the court, set to be heard on July 8th.
Well, immediately after the Speaker announced that the motion was carried, Moonilal placed a strip of tape over his mouth. He subsequently left the lower house accompanied by some of his constituents. Ahead in sport, West Indies pull off a win against Afghanistan in their final match of the ICC Cricket World Cup.
Sandrina Joseph, 29, and her boyfriend, Jeremy Abella, 26. They were asleep in their home in the Tamarind Heights neighborhood of Activeville, McCleary. Charles Augustine was found motionless underneath his house with several puncture wounds about his body. Ezra was nowhere to be found. Charles was pronounced dead that morning, and his son Ezra was subsequently tracked down by the police and arrested.
After listening to fans beg for new music, Rihanna has finally confirmed that she's working on a new album that will reflect her Caribbean background more than anything she's done before. Although the star has played the dancehall and reggae vibes on songs such as Ponder Replay, Man Down, and Work, her pop and R&B tracks have been the foundation of her musical success. In a new interview with T Magazine, the Barbadian boss shared that her next album, tentatively titled R9, will truly speak to her Bajan roots.
First of all, we're going to be using some Aphrodite bitters. This is a combination of chocolate, chili, and coffee. So we're just going to do about 2 dashes of that just to give it a little bit of a chocolate note, a little bit of spiciness as well. And then we're going to use some Moroccan bitters. Why? Because I want it to have just a little tad of spiciness, but not like heat as if you wouldn't have jalapenos, you know? So just a couple of drops of that.
Coming up, top draw acts, influential players, all making moves during Caribbean Week New York. A familiar scenario for hotel icon Sir Royce and Hopkins. When it comes to Barbados tourism, it's win-win for everyone. Cultural entertainment, fashion, music. It's all next on Caribbean Passport on this station.
Shea Hope led a trio of batsmen with half-centuries as West Indies beat Afghanistan by 23 runs in their final game of the ICC World Cup at Headingley on Thursday. Opting to bat first, the Caribbean side finished on 311 for 6 from their 50 overs, with Hope top scoring with 77 and opener Evan Lewis and fellow left-hander Nicholas Puran both hitting 58. Captain Jason Holder chipped in with a cameo 45 at the death, while Shimron Hetmeyer dazzled briefly with 39. Here are the highlights.
Got him! As his final World Cup innings finishes not the way he would have liked it. He's gone for it, and it's a long way over that fielder.
Right now, Shea Hope, straight down another 6. This is one way of getting over it. Just knock the ball in the spaces, bring up your 50. Well played, Evan Lewis.
Man running round, he's got some distance to travel and taken, good running catch. And guess what? He's got enough of it. Just over the head of long off. And nicely played, Shea Hope. His 3 innings prior to this one were single-figure scores. Good to see him back in the runs. There he goes. And there the white ball goes.
Oh, just on cue.
Gone.
Brilliant catch. Well, there's a fielder there. He will look at this shot and say, why did I?
Big man, has he gone big enough? Yes! Off cutter. He's just got this feel for gaps, I guess, Puran. Just over the fielder, so luck going Puran's way. And that brings up the 50. Oh, yes, that's a gift. He has taken the pace off, gone wide. Oh, dear. Jason Holder was clueless, absolutely no communication. Jason Holder will run. This is missed time. This is going to be out. Taken. Well, it's gone straight, and it's much flatter than a Jason Holder sing. And Brathwaite goes high. Oh dear. That has bounced inside the boundary rope, so that's going to be a 4.
In reply, the Afghans gave the Windies a scare as they went after the mammoth total. 18-year-old wicketkeeper batsman Ikram Ali Kil gifted his side with 86, breaking Sachin Tendulkar's top score as the youngest batsman in a World Cup. He put on 133 for the second wicket with Ramat Shah. Paceman Kimar Roach was the pick of the West Indies bowlers, finishing with figures of 3 for 37 in his 10 overs.
And a chance for a catch. No mistake there. Should not have been a mistake. Well, there's one. This time he gets hold of it. He takes it very square. He got himself into a real low pouncing position. Should be out. Hitma! Takes the beauty.
Right, the fielder coming underneath. This could be it. The catch is taken, bang on the edge of the boundary line. But it might have got another, goes over. If it goes over Jason Holder, it's a good hit. Now, has he played that wide enough of the fielder? He hasn't. Sheldon Cottrell takes the catch. He sliced that, and Holder will complete it again. Bang on the edge. Now another one goes up in the air, but this one's got enough on it to clear the 2 tall men there. Puts back to ball again, and the catch is taken. Oh, what a way to finish! Fabian Allen.
Well, after the match, West Indies captain Jason Holder hailed the partnerships which were critical in setting up the imposing target.
Obviously, the batters stepped up today. We started off really well with Evan. Evan and Shea got a really good partnership going in the middle for us. And then at the back end, myself and Poran were able to finish it quite nicely. 300 on that pitch, I felt was par or good enough to win the total. To be a winning total. And we went out. We didn't start as well as we probably would like. Wickets were a little tough up front. They had a really good partnership up front. But we stayed strong and then we came through at the very end.
Well, after winning 2 of the 9 matches played, West Indies finished 9th on 5 points, while Afghanistan sits on the bottom of the table after not winning a single match. Holder repeated calls for consistency from the Caribbean team.
I think inconsistency let us down. We were just inconsistent in all 3 departments. I think our fielding has a lot to improve. I think the bowlers had a really good outing. Credit to each and every bowler who put up their hand whenever called upon. But in terms of the batting, it's very, very inconsistent as well. And it's just going forward, we just need to be a lot more consistent.
And that's the sport. We'll be right back.
For the first time since this BBC broadcast aired on the radio 70 years ago, a group of DC-3 and C-47 Dakotas carrying paratroopers fly the skies over Normandy, taking part in the 70th anniversary of D-Day. Known as DAX over Normandy, this display of aircraft and jumpers was developed by one of the lead organizers, Peter Brahm, an avid history buff and a paratrooper with more than 6,000 jumps.
The Division of Health, Wellness and Family Development continues to make tremendous strides to ensure that Tobago's health sector is in good shape. In April of this year, a new research ethics board was appointed and the members were recently installed. Now, as we know, ethics is a system of moral principles and a branch of philosophy which defines what is good for the individuals and society.
Welcome to this year's 50th Caribbean Broadcast Union Assembly on the island of San Andres. San Andres is a small archipelago located in between Jamaica and Panama in the western Caribbean Sea. A lush, exotic island rich in culture, history, gastronomy, and breathtaking scenic views. Known for its beaches and 7-colored crystalline waters, the island of San Andres will be proudly hosting this year's event. CBU members will enjoy top-of-the-line accommodations for an unforgettable experience in San Andres, connecting Caribbean nations through this year's 50th edition of the CBU Assembly.
Again, the major developments of this day, CARICOM seeks private sector involvement in its efforts to advance free movement of labor in the region. And in sport, West Indies pull off a win against Afghanistan in their final match of the ICC Cricket World Cup. And that's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, subscribe to CondoNews.com. And for more of our programming, log on to CaribVision.tv and check out our YouTube channel. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and have yourselves a good night.